Well, good day, everyone, everywhere, and special greetings to all those seated in heavenly places and Jesus, our Messiah. The name of this broadcast is Cross the Border, and I'm Nicholas, and today is our Prophecy Reality edition. We take a break from our regular Through the Bible studies and take a day just to talk about current events, prophecy, and reality, and have a guest and engage the audience. So if you're listening live on a Wednesday morning, go ahead and go to firstamendmentradio.com, click on the chat room button there, and join us in the chat room. Today, going to have a conversation with Greg, and it looks like he's joined us. Now, if only I could hear him.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, so we got good sound.
All right, fantastic.
Well, I've been listening to a series you've been running for. I think the fourth part came out yesterday, and if anyone wants to hear that series, I put all four parts on YouTube and numbered them 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it's all about September this year. What's going to happen? Interesting stuff, intriguing. I can't agree with everything, but as I take it, you don't agree with everything you're covering in it, but it does get one to thinking about what's happening this September, and I might even add October if you get onto the financial scene, but we'll stick with September for now. There's one big event that's well, I guess it's a big event. We'll see how big it is. Go ahead, tell us about it, Greg.
Well, just let me explain why I even thought to do these shows. And the reason is that I believe that the people that are controlling us, we'll just use the term Vatican-led New World Order,
okay,
always tell us what they're going to do in advance, cryptically, using Kabbalah, using signs and symbols, using TV shows, movies, Hollywood, etc. And they do this in a sense both to, I believe, confirm their biblical beliefs, which may sound strange, but they do understand the Bible. They distort it, I may add, and to also kind of laugh in our faces and to prove to themselves that they are the elite, we are the goyim, we are the ones that just will be brainwashed, follow along, and led to the slaughter, so to speak. So when this date came up, I started first looking at the Pope coming to America, the Antichrist, I should call him,
yes,
coming here on September 23rd to when I believe he will speak to Congress for the first time in the history of our country. We have a Pope addressing Congress. And I've listened to the leaders of the Congress say this: we have extended our hand to the Holy Father to come and speak to us, and we are indebted to him. These are words they're using now. We are waiting for his message. So it kind of intrigued me. It was intriguing to say, well, what is this message going to be? And why are we kind of laying, our leaders are kind of just basically telling us he is the big boss. Now, wait a second, I said. There's other things going on. There's Jade Helm, which everyone who's, listening to the internet will understand is one of the biggest military operations, training sessions, so to speak, in our country's history, going on from July to, September 15th or so, right before the Pope comes. And then we have a number of other things. I ran across the French Prime Minister giving a speech with John Kerry at his side on May 14th, 2014, saying something so cryptic that I said, this is ridiculous. He says, we have 500 days until climate chaos. And Kerry's nodding his head. Now, people that have discounted that have said, well, he's only referring to the UN's, the 69th meeting of the UN, which is going to discuss climate. And I said to myself, well, there's a better way to say it than that. So there's a message there. So I started looking at all these things, and then run across all these researchers who did a good job. I put them on my show, of showing how they've embedded September 23rd, 2015 into movies, TV shows, songs, all the way back to the 80s. And it wasn't just September 23rd, it was 2015. And so then I started to look at then all of the satanic pastors like John Hagee, who loves to give you the hook 'em horn sign as he's speaking, promoting the blood moons and the rapture and all these fake things that are coming across the table. I look at them that way, aligning themselves with the secular world, who I believe is in the hands of NASA, which is the complete idiotic organization we've ever created, where we give billions of dollars for them to send us back CGI photographs of the Earth to pretend they're doing spacewalks when they're in swimming pools, and we believe it. And so I started to ask the question, all right, let's put aside, let's look at it from every possible angle. What could it be? Could it be that is God really coming back? Now, that's what they're going to make you believe. Or is it a fake? Is it a fake rapture? It is a fake Antichrist coming. It could be that. Could it be that we're being set up for a huge war? Yeah. Look at ISIS. Where does ISIS come from? They're hitting us from every angle. And so we have to piece it as we see I look at it common sense. I believe this is a fake, false flag event they're going to throw upon us in the next year or so.
Okay, well, let me slow you down there, and so we can get kind of caught up. Okay.
Ask questions, because I get very passionate on this. Could probably talk for days.
Well,
go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to go back to 9/11, and wonder if someone's actually calling in. Hold on a second here. Your name and where you're calling from. You're on the air.
Oh, yes, this is not Jam from Arizona. Yeah, I just wanted to throw in this September thing. I've seen a lot of these interviews about, Jonathan Cahn, this rabbi, so-called biblical Shemitah thing that's been pushed on a lot of mainstream shows like Sid Roth, Supernatural, and some other Christians.
Right.
Evangelical baby boomer shows.
Yeah, I've looked into the Shemitah, and it's just a lot more.
I'm just saying, I think they're preparing the baby boomer masses for this so-called financial collapse, and they were tying these ties together, saying, so the other Shemitah was on 2008, the great, stock market collapse. So I think they're actually preparing the baby boomers, who most of them are the ones who are, got their money in the stock market. I think they're mentally, psychologically preparing the masses for a financial collapse in September.
Well, I couldn't agree more, Not Jam. And do you have another name besides Not Jam?
My name is Jamie.
Jamie? Oh, okay, I see. Not Jamie, huh?
Chat room went on, so I figured I'd associate myself with that. But great show, Nicholas. Awesome show as usual. Great, Greg. Great job covering this particular issue in the last week or two.
Well, I appreciate your comments, and I was gonna spend a little time on your email, but I can talk about that now. But all right, well, we'll address those issues and more. Thank you for calling in, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you so much again, Nicholas.
Bye-bye. Okay. Jamie's brought up something that's called the Shemitah, and you're probably not familiar with that, Greg.
No, I'm not. No,
it's by one of these this Messianic Jewish pastor who's become very famous because he wrote a book called The Harbinger. And so he was under pressure to write another book, so he wrote on the Shemitah, and it's just a lot of nonsense. It's just a lot of nonsense like the blood moon nonsense. But as Jamie pointed out, is what they're doing is they're preparing people for what's happening. And we go back to 9/11, and that's where I was headed before he called in. And after 9/11, a lot of people went back into movies, and they saw all the, let's call them harbingers of 9/11 in movies and media for many years leading up to 9/11. So now what we have is we have a September 15, 2015 thing that's supposed to happen, because people are now ferreting out things before they happen. They're looking for these clues or harbingers in media and movies and so forth of things to come. So by doing that, they've seen now September 23rd or 24th, 2015 as a date of interest. Whereas if these same people had looked for these same type of signs in the same places they're looking before 9/11, they would have saw 9/11 2001 as a date of interest. That's the gist of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with you. Now, what how they do this, and if something big is going to happen on 23rd of September, or whether this is just the initiation of a longer period that may go on to October of the next year, is still, we don't know all the answers, but they're really telling us something here. I truly believe that. I can't tell you exactly what.
Well, yeah, it's it's like 95% speculation until an event happens, and then hindsight is real easy, like 9/11. Well, now we're trying foresight. That's a lot more difficult than hindsight.
Well, the way I look at it is that it's not just this specific date and what may happen during this period of time. I think it's a question of, it's bigger. It leads you to more things. It leads you to really asking the major question that comes to my mind here is, how far do you think you've been deceived in this world? How far does it go for you, the individual?
That is a good question.
And I'll tell you something. Let me explain what I mean here and how all of this could fit together. I remember about 6 months, no, it was about a year ago, I was sitting across the table from a Christian friend. And of course, people always, when they get together with me, want to open me up and talk about all the things I've researched over the years. 9/11, the other things, all the things, the Vatican, the secret societies, the satanic worshiping under the Vatican roof, all that stuff. And the person then said to me, Greg, do you realize that the earth is stationary? God says it in the Bible, and that the sun and the moon revolve around the earth? And I looked and I laughed. I literally laughed and said, come on. And my mind was so not so much brainwashed. Once you open it up like I have, people will see this. It continues to open, but you still have kind of like blocks in your system of getting to the bottom of everything. And so my first thoughts were, oh, come on, I'm a modern man. This is archaic stuff. It's not true. It can't be true. And I kind of laughed, and we discounted what she was saying and moved on. About a week later, I started thinking to myself, why did I do that to her? Why did I discount just anything that she said about this stationary earth? And I realized I was listening to the beast. I was listening to NASA, even though I disagreed and told people many times we didn't go to the moon. But then again, I believed in their whole universal theory and all the different things. And I started saying to myself, maybe she's got a point. So I started looking into it. Hundreds of hours of research later, hundreds of hours, I've said to myself, I not only think she has a point, I think it may even go farther than that. I think that they've been lying to us about the shape of this earth and the universe in general. And it became obvious to me that for me, the deception goes as far as it could and wide as it can go.
Well, Greg, I am partly in agreement with you on, at least the Earth does not move. As far as spacewalks, well, they've never even been in space. They've only been in very high orbit. And, they have their high orbital plane, they call the shuttle. They've even retired that. But they've never been in outer space. It's all a lie,
Well, I don't think it exists. And when you look at what they do, when you start really piecing together, in fact, today's a good day to talk about this because it's the 50th anniversary of the first time they say an American walked or went to space 50 years ago, in 1965. Now, I think, look, we've sent up balloons, amateur balloons to 121,000 feet. We have when we get into this argument of the shape of the earth, we have a couple things going on here. We have what some people have interpreted biblically. Now, I say this, a circle doesn't mean it's a round ball. And when you say the word circle, it doesn't mean a round ball. Now, I'm also going to say that we don't know exactly what's there. We can't say, because I can say to you, Nicholas, have you ever seen it with your own eyes? No.
Well, what's the question? Have I ever seen what with my own eyes?
The exact shape of this planet.
No, I haven't seen the exact shape of the whole planet. No, I don't believe any man has.
Now, secondly, 99 yes, you're saying 100%. I'm saying let's say 99.9% of the people have never even attempted to go higher than 121,000 feet in a balloon. Now, the questions that I have are, when I started looking at, and I'm not a Bible scholar, and I realize you've probably have read much more of it than I have, and probably tossed it around in your mind a lot, and I respect your opinion on it. But in the looks that I've had, in the interpretations that I have seen done by others, my own interpretations, I have come to the conclusion that it can't be categorically stated that God said this earth is a globe. And that's my point. Now, taking it from there, I think biblically we're in accord that the earth doesn't move around the sun. It's the opposite way.
Yeah, the earth is stationary. I definitely agree with agreement on that.
And the sun and the moon are relatively the same size, kind of the yin-yang approach. Now,
I don't know about that, though.
Well, this is what I'm saying to you. When you start researching it from strictly a point of view of the seasons, of how this operates, starting with looking at the horizon in a simple manner that anybody can do. I first became aware of this when I used to scuba dive at La Jolla. And I was amazed, and I wasn't even thinking in these terms back then, but I would have my goggles at eye level, and you have to walk out about 3/4 of a mile, and all you got in front of you is the Pacific Ocean, and you got ships in the distance. And I said, man, how could everything looks so flat? And whether you're at sea level or at the top of Mount Everest or flying over 100,000 feet in the air, the always horizontal horizon line rises up to meet your eye, and it remains perfectly flat.
Well, now, we're so small and the earth is so large, but I have some other questions. I mean, from my observations, from the evidence I see, I do believe that the earth is round like the other planets. I don't think the moon is a platter, out there, and we're just seeing one flat side of it. Or I don't believe that the sun or the other planets are platters either, flat. And I don't believe that the earth is any different. And I have some, there's empirical evidence to back that up. Number one, all of the other planets are obviously spheres and are not flat. Also, I've set up a lot of satellite dishes, and I understand the stationary placing of satellites, because of gravity. The higher you go, the less the gravitational pull is. This theory is pretty much in evidence, and so the satellites can sit out there, but the Earth is not spinning. Otherwise, the satellites would have a problem staying in one place. But I know I've got satellite dishes out here, and I've aimed them at satellites, and they've been aimed at the same space, and there's no way that these could be from a plane or something else flying around. These satellites are really out there. placed.
I tend to disagree, and let's just put it this way: that we're not. Both of us have to admit we're not scientists, and both of us have to admit that perhaps our views are better than scientists. And the reason I say that is because I believe if you really start looking at gravity, you will see that it doesn't. Gravity is something they use, NASA uses, to explain everything they can explain. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that let's take a real example here. If the only thing to me that exists is, the air has a density, your body has a density, and anything heavier than the air falls to the ground. Anything lighter than the air goes up. Helium, for example.
Right.
Now, point of satellites that I will disagree with you, everything that we see, GPS, look where it started, every possible satellite TV, all these crazy things they tell us that are satellite-based are not they can be done from the ground. And the point I'm trying to make is there cannot be 20,000 satellites up in that space because it would fall to the earth. There is nothing that would hold it up.
Well, the satellite signal cannot be Earth-based. I mean, the satellite dish pinpoints an area. I mean, if I get it 1/2 a degree off, I lose that signal, or it fades quickly. If I go one degree, less than a degree in any direction, I start losing that signal. I mean, that is in place, and it's, straight up depending on where that satellite is located.
They can bounce signals on the Earth without being up in the space, just as they can.
I get, okay, there's a theory. You might have a theory, but you got to have people.
Let's move on, because we could agree to disagree forever. And the point I'm trying to say is.
Well, no, I'm agreeing with you that that's a possibility, because whether they're bouncing them off of something else up there or they're bouncing them off the satellites, they are bouncing the signal off of something. Right. We can agree on that.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's in a satellite in space. And when you see their pictures of their satellites, there's like 20,000 of them, and how come none of them ever run into each other? And they're always moving. And the point I'm trying to get at is, why don't they do the same thing with star pictures?
Well, no, the satellites aren't moving.
Now, okay, let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Because we could go on forever, and there's other things I'd like to discuss regarding this subject.
Okay, yeah, let's jump into some things that are going to happen in September that we know about.
Well, we know that...
when we come back from this break.
Okay, good. Let's do that.
We'll be back in a few minutes. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Despite Nicolas Cage's promise to do his best to get left behind rapture answers for us, don't hold your breath. Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie, with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character, as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy, in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. If you want true Bible prophecy answers, get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. The author exposes the Latin rapture origin, the 7-year tribulation deception, true Bible revelation of Daniel's 70 weeks, the abomination of desolation, the restrainer, America in the Revelation, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast, and the truth about God's chosen people, and so much more about Bible prophecy. This book will shatter the left behind paradigm of future events. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org. Welcome back. You're listening to Across the Border. This is our Prophecy Reality Edition. I have my guest, Greg Anthony, and you can listen to his broadcast every day. The new edition comes out at 6 p.m. Pacific time every day. We archive those so you can listen on demand at any time to the show within minutes after the broadcast is complete. Plus, we also archive those at youtube.com. And if you go to our YouTube channel, firstamendmentradio.com YouTube channel, you'll find the 4-part series that he did on September 23rd there. And Greg will probably put a link on his website to those. He can make a list out of those or whatever. But and check out his website. What's your website, Greg? Whoops, let me turn up his volume and we can hear him. Okay, website.
ArcticBeacon.com. And isn't that kind of interesting, how the importance of what I'm talking about, where it all leads to, how I chose that name without even knowing why I did it. And the reason I'm saying that is people always ask me, why did you pick that? And I didn't realize why I did it till I started researching it. Now, the point I'm trying to make, and I have to finish this because I'm going to do another show tonight on afterthoughts of what we're talking about today. But here's the deal. I think I have to do a little bit of preaching, and just bear with me for 1 second. One thing I learned when I started researching the Vatican was there were things, when I first started researching it, I believed some of the things they were doing were bad, some were good. Blah, blah, blah. Now, we also know they do a few good things when they have charities and all these different things. We know that. But everything that comes out of their mouth, I realized, was always double talk, especially in important issues. Now, when I started to research Nassau, I started to think, well, they do some good things and some bad things. And let me tell you this. I have come to the conclusion that I don't believe anything they say. And to believe part of what the beast does is to believe all of what the beast does. Now, for me, it's very simple. We're going to get back to this satellite discussion 1 quick second, and I'll give you an example. If, Nicholas, there are 20,000 satellites up there, how come we don't have better pictures of the Earth? The Earth's pictures they show us are kids' games. These pictures, the planet they show us is the same one over and over again. And you can tell. You know, I looked at one that was 12. There were 12 hours supposedly, they're time-lapse photos of the Earth. The clouds never move. This is a hoax. They don't know. They won't show us the truth. And I'm going to give you another example. Why would the United Nations use the flat Earth symbol as their flag? Why can't we go to Antarctica? There's a treaty now amongst nations. This started back in the 50s. When Russia and us were fighting, supposedly, and going to kill each other, and we were hiding under desks as kids. I know you were too. We're about the same age. But yet we agree that we're going to not fight over Antarctica because Antarctica doesn't exist the way they tell us it exists. And no one can tell me otherwise until we can actually go there. Now, you try to go there. You say you have an exploration, which I did a number of months ago. I said I had all these rich people. We're going to take drones. We want to go and keep going. And I say, any direction on this globe you go, you will end up at an ice wall. And I want to go over that ice wall. And we've got millions of dollars to do that. Can I get a permit? Oh, no. Who are you? What are you doing? We want to know You can't go.
Well, who are you asking, and why do they have the power to keep you out?
Because look at the Treaty of Antarctica. The military from every country has formed a treaty to keep us out of Antarctica. Now, there's a little outpost.
Okay, well, that's very curious, and I agree with you. Something is strange is going on about Antarctica. What it is, I don't know. And I've looked into it, but I have no conclusions, and it doesn't lead me to the conclusion that the Earth is flat. And I did want to answer one of your other questions. How come there are no pictures of the round Earth? And the fact is simply this, like I said before, man has never been in outer space. The satellites are not in outer space. The satellites are just in high in the atmosphere, but they're not high enough to really get a picture of the whole Earth.
If they were high enough, they would fall down. I mean, the point of you're getting to an issue that I really think is important. Gravity does not exist the way they tell us it exists. It can't. And it's a simple way to think about it. But they want to take away our common sense. And they do what Einstein did. His theory of relativity, all that stuff, it's ridiculous. Going back to Copernicus, the Polish man who first came out with the round Earth theory, all of it was based on speculation, and it still is today.
Well, no, he's the first that he popularized the heliocentric theory, not the round Earth theory.
Heliocentric, which is basically
the Earth spins around the sun and it spins on an axis.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And opposed to the geocentric theory that the Earth is stationary.
Right.
But all I'm getting at is, I guess the best way to talk about it is for everyone to take everything in their common sense and use it to their own ability and research, and don't believe what you read all the time about this stuff, and especially from NASA. The reason I say that is, why should I believe anything they say? You know, when you try to look at things, you look at it and you say, well, how they lied to me in the past. Now, why should I believe this? But we do.
I agree with you. Everyone should search this out seriously and seriously consider, without laughing it off, is the Earth flat? I mean, I seriously, I can't say that I know for 100% sure.
Exactly.
I can say that I've made up my mind on some things based upon what the Bible says and based upon observation. Beyond that, it's all theory. Gravity is theory, light is theory, germ is theory. Even germs is called germ theory.
One thing I want to say, though, is that getting back to what they plan to do, they plan to use a lot of the theories that they use, a lot of the techniques they use to fake moon landings, a lot of the techniques they use to fake all this stuff on us in a more global type of way. They've created holographic images of alien spacecraft. They've even created holographic images of cities. We know they've created holographic images of the fake Mother Mary apparitions. And why, through this, what could they do? They could create a fake Messiah, couldn't they?
Well, we are in agreement that they faked a lot of stuff. No man has ever been on the moon. No man has ever been that high as to be in what they call outer space. The whole NASA is a hoax because they have never been in space.
Right. And my thinking is only this: how far does it go? How far does the hoax go? And I find it interesting to research it. Now,
well, it hasn't gone any further really than the 1960s when they pulled off the first moon hoax, because they won't return to the moon now because too many people have better technology to observe and to call them out on faking it. So they can't fake it again, basically, is what I'm saying, is they cannot get away with faking going to the moon again, which is why they don't go, simply.
Well, and yes, and I have to agree, though, that with you on that, and you know as well as I do, I've done many shows on the moon landing in years past and showing how it's a hoax and coming to that conclusion based on the information that we have. However, let's look at the bigger picture here and what they've really tried to do with their theories of the universe, the Big Bang Theory, evolution, the whole thing. What they've really tried to do is dehumanize us, take away our reason for being, our importance in this universe. If we're a stationary planet, whether round or flat, we are more important than just a speck of dust floating amongst 20 million planets all over the place, being bombarded, and there's millions of people just like us or more advanced people. You know what? What they've tried to do is just take away the importance of how God created us.
Yeah, well,
and how important He really is.
Basically, life has no value unless we are created in the image of God. And if they steal that from us and say, well, we're not created in God's image, then life has no value. You can kill a man like you would kill a dog or a chicken to eat. You know, if life has no value, then it doesn't matter if someone dies. But if we are all created in God's image, then life has value, and we should value each other. They want to take that away from us. And all of our rights. Because if God created us and we're made in His image, God gave us our rights. But if there is no God, then we have no rights, except where do our rights come from? The government?
Exactly. And look what they've done. They've taken, they've created a false religion in science. It has become nothing but a false God that everybody believes without even questioning. And they can take that to all extremes, which will be one day forming what they want, a one-world government, a one-world religion, created on falsehoods.
Yes.
Using NASA's technology, tested out in movies, tested out in real life, on us, against us. And I believe that's maybe what they have planned in the year 2015 and 16. Now, what they're going to do, I don't know.
Well, I do know what they have planned for the year 2018.
Okay, tell me.
The cashless society, the doing away with all cash, and their plan is 2018 for that. And that is when we really lose all our liberty, because they take the ownership of your labor and your money away from you, and you can only have it in their banks. You can't go down to the bank and get your cash out anymore, because basically, the Bible calls it the mark of the beast monetary system, and it is coming, and they're getting people ready for it right now. As a matter of fact, more than 95% of all transactions are already digital, so they're right on target for that. That's going to be a bigger event than whatever event they got coming in September. I mean, I don't really know what they have planned. I hear a lot of things, but I'm afraid that the Pope is going to come and visit, and a few things might happen, but I don't think there's going to be any fake rapture where people are going to disappear and they have to explain it, like this one gal says that they're going to have a fake rapture event to explain away the real rapture event. But it's all of the three raptures that they debate upon are all fake. None of them are going to happen.
Right, but isn't it interesting, and you just made me think of something here, isn't it interesting when we discuss the triumvirate of the beast, and that is the obelisk in Washington, D.C., the obelisk in Rome, the obelisk in London, which is actually not part of city proper London, just like Vatican is not part of Rome, just like Washington, D.C. is not a part of the United States. They have their own flag, and isn't each threat in our civilization coming from, one, London, the financial headquarters of the world, two, the Vatican, the spiritual supposed headquarters of the world, and three, United States, the military headquarters of the world. All those threats are coming from them.
Yeah, Washington, D.C. is an interesting animal. Founded upon Virginia, land ceded by Virginia and Maryland. Do you know what that makes Washington, D.C.?
What? The Virgin Mary. That's
right. Virgin Maryland.
That question ought to be on one of the radio shows or talk shows,
So Washington, D.C. is literally Virgin Maryland.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Yeah. That's a good, But, it's really true, Nicholas, though. One of the threats we face are all, coming from those people, those three places. And, once we sort that out, I've said many times on my show, we're the Roman legion of the modern world. In London, of course, the financial headquarters. And Rome, of course, the satanic headquarters of this whole thing.
As far as Jade Helm, I believe that what Jade Helm really is preparation for 2018 and doing away with cash. Because that's going to cause a lot of problems in America. Because we have a lot of people that will believe, and as I do, that will be the initiation of the final form of the mark of the beast, of the biblical proportion, or Revelation chapter 13 mark of the beast. That will be it.
Well, okay, let's say we're on a cashless society, though. What do you think they're going? What would they do then? Just basically rip the banks down and say all of a sudden your card's not worth anything?
No, they're going to require everyone to go cashless. And I don't think everyone is going to do that. A lot of people are going to realize that it is the mark of the beast. And if it truly is the mark of the beast that is proposed and prophesied in chapter 13 of Revelation, that means that all true believers will be required by God Almighty to not participate or withdraw from that system.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I mean, Jade.
And that's where I stand. I mean, I'm already standing there. I'm just waiting for everyone else to join me when the time comes.
I know, but what in a functional society like this? No, as far as we know, what can we do? Let's say they do that, and I say no, I will not deal that way. What is my dollar that I still have in my pocket? I'm unable to use that anyway.
No, well, you will commit a financial crime by trying to subvert or work outside of the established cashless society.
I can buy that. Yeah, I can buy that totally.
Yeah, well, that's where it's going. You will commit a financial crime, and we will be arrested for financial crimes. Thus, you see the problem. That they will start hunting down people for financial crime. As a matter of fact, I got an excellent article I was going to cover in the next segment about that.
Yeah, and what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I mean, I can understand. I mean, they do that now with the IRS. This is just an extension of that.
Yeah, well, everything up to now has been preparation, practice.
Right. And I know they even there's a place in London where they've already experimented on this.
Exactly. That was part of the article I was going to cover today, too.
I can't remember where or when, but I remember reading about that. So, yeah, you're on the right track. It's just a question mark of, well, how does this play into? See, I go one step maybe in another direction here, but I know their reduction plans in the world are to reduce the population.
Well, and what better place to reduce than those who will not go along with the New World Social Economic Order, like Christians, which they already have ISIS over there eliminating in the Mideast, and people are turning against Christianity and Christians in America and all over the world. We are going to be the problem because we will not go along.
Exactly. Good point. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree totally with you on that one. I hadn't thought of it really that deeply from that perspective. But yeah, look at the weak president we have now, ushering all this stuff in, allowing ISIS to grow.
Yeah, I just did a 7-part series on protesting the mark of the beast. And I'm going to do number 8 in the next hour.
Okay, good. And I want to send me, I want to listen to them and send me them.
Well, you know where our YouTube channel is for FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Yes, it's on there?
Yeah. Well, no, the 7-part series is on my homepage. It's not on there yet. That's right. But, yeah, you can get the 7-part series on my website at crosstheborder.org.
And I want to say something today. Since the whole world, or all of America today, is celebrating the fake 50th anniversary of going into outer space, I thought I'd change the day, and we're going to celebrate somebody called Angela Barnes. Now, nobody really knows who Angela Barnes is, but in the late 1800s, she was a precocious, very intelligent young woman who basically protested globes being put in the classroom and set out to prove the earth was flat. And that's your assignment, people listening, because I'm not going to say it again. You can go to my show tonight and get it. But Angela Barnes is an interesting name in history that somehow NASA overlooks. And the reason they overlook it is they don't want anybody to question their God of science. And so I'm honoring Angela Barnes today instead of that fake 50th anniversary of this fictitious traveling to outer space. How do you like that, Nick?
Well, I think NASA should celebrate. Look at the millions and billions of dollars they got for faking it.
And they get billions every year, and it keeps getting worse. And we keep giving it to them. Oh, God. Help. Is anybody out there help?
Anyway, so yeah, I think, flat Earth, I think people should seriously consider it and look into it and not just laugh it off. If someone proposes something that goes against what you were taught, what you believe, and really have no way of knowing, seriously consider those things. Be a real thinking man.
I'm not doing it to prove there is a flat Earth. I'm doing it to really find out how far we've been lied to by NASA, and doing it from a common sense approach. And man, you'll find some really interesting things when you start really testing these theories out and looking at what we've just believed. Myself included. I'm as guilty as anybody else for years. But the point is, we deserve better. We deserve better than what we've given what has been thrust upon us by our government, by our scientists. We deserve better. And the only way to get it is to look into it yourself. And I enjoy that because there are so many good people out there that I run into that are really questioning these things. And then, of course, Nicholas, you know what I found out in this theory? There are controlled opposition people even in the flat earth theory.
Absolutely.
Who are put there by Jesuits to make it sound ridiculous.
Absolutely.
And it's something categorically across the board they do in most everything, don't they?
Well, Jesus said, "Seek the truth, and the truth shall make you free." And the father of lies has been working for thousands of years putting up these lies. So don't be afraid to question everything. That's what I say. Even your own salvation, if you think you're saved. Question everything.
Yeah, and it is amazing that you see the same thing in this movement that you've seen in others that I've worked in, like 9/11, most anything I can think of that I decided to research. You find that, electronic weaponry, that's an interesting one. You find the controlled opposition there as well. So what I'm getting at is, isn't it interesting, though, that a lot of these things have laid dormant, these things we talk about now, for a long time, and all of a sudden now, more people are starting to talk about these things. And does that give you some kind of biblical meaning, Nicholas? I know you study the Bible in depth, and I'm just wondering, why is this the theory of flat earth becoming known to more people? Why are all these lies now being so to speak, discussed by people willing to do it? What's your thought?
If you question everything, it means that you love the truth. And God, Jesus said, "I am the truth." So it's the Spirit of God that is moving on people to get them to sort these things out and look into these things. He's just calling whoever will listen. And to get them to listen, those things have to be put out there. And if they lead you to God, if they lead you to the truth of His Word, then the truth has its work in the world. So,
and one thing I could leave you with, people out there, just research the name ISIS from a standpoint of Greek gods and all that thing, and how that is worshipped through obelisks in Rome, Washington, and London. And then people ask me, well, how did ISIS get here, this terrorist group? I said, well, those three organizations are instrumental in creating it, and that's who they're worshiping. So you research that, people.
Okay, and
It's
when you
really-
get your expedition to go to the edge of the world, I want to go with you, man. Hey, you got a lot of fans out here. We all love you, man. And
Okay,
we
we're going.
want you to
swear
keep up the good work.
Okay, thanks a lot, Nicholas, and we'll talk again.
All right, brother. Bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. Greg Anthony from Greg Anthony's Journal. Do catch his broadcast. Excellent broadcast. Get you to question everything, and that is a good thing. When you start questioning everything, you may find the love of the truth somewhere deep in your heart. And from that love of truth will spring eternal life, and that's really what we're after. One day, when we see him, we will be like him, and we will know all things, even as we are also known. Thus saith the Lord. So how to contact Greg? Go to his website, arcticbeacon.com. That's arcticbeacon.com, and there is something to that name. Okay, well, you're listening to Cross the Border. Check out my website, crosstheborder.org. Make sure that you have subscribed there. If you want to support the work we're doing here, you can give to firstamendmentradio.com. You can go, just click on a support button somewhere, you'll find one, and then see what level you can help us at. Okay, I'll be back after the news, and we'll discuss some of these things and some other things. You're listening to Cross the Border, Prophecy Reality Edition. Be back here in about 7 minutes.